The wind sweeps across Heartland's open fields, carrying more than just dust, it carries change. Jack Bartlett stands at the ranch gate, weathered hands gripping the wood, eyes set on a figure walking toward him. A new ranch hand. A stranger stepping into a world built on sweat, memory, and loss. But what happens when the man who's always been the rock of Heartland starts to feel the ground shift beneath him? Jack Bartlett has spent a lifetime holding Heartland together. Every fence post, every stable beam, every wild horse tamed, they carry his touch. For decades, he's led with quiet strength, guiding not just the ranch but the people who call it home. But now, the world around him is changing faster than he ever thought possible. Machines are replacing muscle, and new ways threaten the old traditions that built his life. When the episode begins, Jack is already feeling the strain. Lou is buried in town projects, Amy is busy training rescue horses, and the ranch's chores are piling up. Jack hates asking for help, but he knows he can't do it all alone anymore. The idea of hiring a new ranch hand isn't just practical, it's necessary. Yet deep inside, it feels like admitting defeat. As the pickup truck pulls into the yard, Jack's eyes narrow. Out steps a young man, strong, confident, but with a spark of inexperience. The way he looks at Heartland is full of wonder, not yet understanding the responsibility that comes with it. Jack doesn't say much, but his silence speaks volumes. He's sizing him up, not just his skill, but his character. The first interaction between them is cold, almost businesslike. Jack gives short answers, his tone clipped, his expectations high. The young ranch hand, trying to impress, smiles and nods, unaware that every move he makes is being judged. Jack watches as the newcomer unloads his gear, already noticing how differently he does things, his grip on the reins, the way he pats the horse, too soft, too casual. In that moment, Jack isn't just seeing a new worker, he's seeing a reflection of everything he fears losing: discipline, respect, the old ways that defined Heartland. Change has come before, but this feels different. It's not the weather or the economy this time. It's time itself slowly demanding that he let go of control. As the sun sets behind the barn, Jack stands alone, watching the new hand walk the horses into the corral. The air is quiet except for the steady creak of the gate. He mutters softly, "We'll see how long you last." What he doesn't say, what he won't admit, is that he's not just testing the young man. He's testing himself. Because for the first time in years, Jack Bartlett isn't sure if he can keep up with the world he built. Morning light stretches across Heartland like a golden ribbon. The ranch hums with quiet life, horses snorting in the stables, chickens stirring in the dust, and the faint clatter of tools from the barn. It's a familiar rhythm, one Jack Bartlett knows better than his own heartbeat. But today, something feels off. There's a stranger's shadow moving among those patterns, breaking their perfect flow. The new ranch hand, Cole, starts his first full day. He's eager, polite, and works hard, maybe too hard. He rushes through feeding the horses, double-checks the fence line, and wipes the sweat from his brow like he's been here for years. From a distance, it looks fine. But Jack sees everything. The uneven stack of hay bales, the sloppy knot on a lead rope, the small mistakes that mean nothing to most people but everything to him. Jack's gaze follows Cole like a hawk's. He doesn't mean to be harsh. It's just who he is. Heartland was built on precision, patience, and pride, not shortcuts. Every lesson Jack ever learned came from failure and hard truth. And if this young man is going to survive here, he'll have to face both. Amy walks by, sensing the tension before a word is spoken. "You'll scare him off if you keep staring like that," she teases gently. Jack grumbles, pretending not to hear. He hides his worry behind sarcasm, but Amy can read him like the land itself. "He'll find his way, Grandpa," she says. "You just have to let him." Let him. Two words Jack doesn't sit well with. Letting someone take charge means letting go. And letting go means risking that things might change. He's already watched so much change: Ty's death, Lou's ambitions pulling her away, Amy finding her path beyond his guidance. The thought of Heartland shifting again, even in small ways, cuts deep. The day unfolds with small tests. Cole helps move the horses to the upper pasture, but he opens the wrong gate. A few colts wander off, spooked by the noise. Jack's voice cracks through the air like a whip. "Close that gate, boy. You don't let them run unless you mean to chase them. Cole freezes, embarrassed, his confidence shrinking. The silence after the scolding is heavy, only the horse's hooves break it. Later, as the sun dips low, Jack sits on the porch, boots resting on the railing, watching Cole work late to make up for the mistake. There's something familiar in the boy's stubbornness, a reflection of his own younger self. He remembers when he first took over the ranch, when everyone doubted him. That memory softens his jaw. Just a little, he mutters, almost to himself. He's green, but he's got grit. The wind stirs the long grass as if answering him. Heartland has always tested those who step onto its soil. It breaks some. It shapes others. And tonight, Jack starts to wonder which one Cole will be and whether Jack himself can learn to guide, not guard. The legacy he's built, the sound of boots crunching against gravel breaks the morning stillness. Cole steps into the barn, his posture proud but unsure, the kind of confidence that trembles at its own echo. Jack Bartlett watches from the shadows of the stable door, a coffee mug warming his calloused hands. To anyone else, it's just another day at Heartland. But to Jack, this moment feels like a quiet storm rolling in. The new ranch hand's arrival has stirred more than dust, it's stirred memories. Jack can't help but see ghosts where there should be faces. He remembers Ty, full of fire and heart, learning the ropes, making mistakes but never backing down. Cole's presence reopens that space when Jack thought he'd closed for good. Every time Cole picks up a tool or calls out to a horse, it echoes with a name that isn't his. Cole doesn't know that yet. To him, this is a chance, maybe the chance. He moves with purpose, eager to prove himself. He wants to show Jack he belongs, that he's not just another temporary hand. But Heartland doesn't bend easily. It tests a man, inside and out. When Cole saddles a restless mare too quickly, the horse jerks, kicking up dirt and tension. Jack's voice slices through the air like a blade. You don't rush her. You listen first. A horse'll tell you when she's ready if you're smart enough to hear. Cole swallows hard, nodding. Yes, sir. But the sting of correction lingers longer than the dust. Amy watches from across the paddock, concern softening her eyes. She knows this pattern too well. Jack's guard always comes up when he feels change closing in. He's trying, Grandpa, she calls. Jack doesn't look at her, doesn't answer. He just mutters, trying's not the same as doing. By midday, the sun burns high, and tempers with it. Cole drops a feed bucket, startles a horse, and chaos follows, hooves clashing, hay flying. Jack rushes in, takes control with sharp, commanding precision. When it's over, he stares at Cole, breath heavy, patience thinner than the air. You can't work this place like it's just a job, Jack says quietly. This ranch is alive. You treat it wrong, it'll bite back. Cole looks down, nodding again. But this time his voice carries something different, a mix of pride and pain. I get it. I'm not Ty, sir, but I'm here to learn. If you'll let me. The name hangs between them like smoke. Ty. Jack freezes for half a breath. The young man couldn't have known what that word would do to him. It's not anger Jack feels, it's the ache of remembering. That night, Jack sits alone in the barn. The horses shift softly behind him. His eyes rest on Ty's old saddle, hanging by the stall. He runs his fingers over the worn leather, rough and familiar. Then, from the other end of the barn, he hears the faint rhythm of Cole sweeping, quietly fixing the mess he made earlier. For the first time, Jack doesn't feel anger. He feels something else. Maybe the start of understanding. Maybe the start of trust. As the lantern light flickers, Jack whispers to himself, everyone's got to start somewhere. Heartland isn't just testing Cole anymore. It's testing Jack too, to see if he can open the gate to the future without closing the door on the past. The morning starts sharp and cold, the kind of chill that makes even the strongest bones feel older. Mist hangs over the paddocks, curling around the fence posts like whispers of warning. Jack Bartlett is already outside, his boots deep in the frost, inspecting the corral. He doesn't say much, but his silence speaks louder than any command. Cole arrives moments later, a little late, a little breathless, with that restless energy of someone still trying to prove himself. From the moment their eyes meet, the air between them is tense, not angry, but thick with something heavier: expectation, disappointment, maybe even pride hiding behind a wall of stubbornness. Cole starts the day's chores with determination, but his movements are tight, nervous. He knows Jack is watching. Every swing of the hammer, every coil of rope feels like a test. And Jack doesn't miss a single detail. When Cole tries to lead a nervous stallion out of the pen, the horse jerks violently. Cole pulls harder, too hard. The animal rears, panic flashing in its eyes. Jack's voice cuts through the chaos like thunder. "Let go of the rope before you break his spirit." The command echoes through the ranch. Cole freezes, heart pounding. He drops the rope, and the horse bolts, galloping across the pasture. Dust rises in the cold air like smoke after a fire. Jack storms over, jaw tight, voice low but sharp enough to cut. "You can't force trust out of a horse. You earn it." Same goes for this ranch. Cole stares at the ground, the sting of failure burning deeper than the cold wind. "I was trying to help," he mutters. Jack exhales slow, long, heavy. "That's the problem, son. You keep trying. But out here, trying's not enough. Doing it right is what matters." The words hang there, like frost that won't melt. Amy walks out from the barn, tension written all over her face. "Grandpa," she says softly, "maybe go easy on him. He's learning." Jack turns away, frustration twisting in his chest. Learning's one thing, risking a horse is another. Cole watches them, silent, feeling smaller with every word. For a brief moment, his eyes meet Amy's, searching for some kind of understanding, a bridge. But she can't build it for him. Not this one. Hours later, the ranch is quiet again. The only sound is the steady rhythm of Cole repairing the broken fence, each nail driven in like an apology. He works until his hands ache, until the sun starts to fade behind the hills. Jack stands nearby, pretending not to notice, but his gaze never leaves the boy. When Cole finally drops the hammer, Jack walks over. "You finished?" he asks. Cole nods. "It'll hold." Jack inspects the fence. The lines are straight, the posts solid. "Better than before." He grunts approvingly but says nothing more. Cole breaks the silence first. "You think I'm not cut out for this, don't you?" Jack pauses, eyes still on the fence. "I think Heartland decides that. Not me." Cole swallows hard, his voice steady but raw. "Then I'll let Heartland decide." Jack looks at him, then really looks. For the first time, he sees more than inexperience. He sees fire, determination, the same fire that once burned in his own eyes when everyone told him he couldn't make it. He gives a small nod. "We'll see." The wind shifts, carrying the scent of rain. A storm is coming, and not just in the sky. The next test won't come from Jack's words, but from the land itself. And when it hits, both men will find out what they're truly made of. Night falls fast over Heartland, wrapping the ranch in a blanket of restless wind. The sky rumbles low, not the soft kind of thunder that stays on the horizon, but the kind that warns of trouble coming straight for you. Jack Bartlett stands at the porch, scanning the dark fields. He's seen storms like this before. They don't just shake fences, they shake people. Inside the barn, Cole works late again, tightening ropes and checking latches. He's determined not to make another mistake. The tension from earlier still lingers like smoke after a fire. Every creak of the wood, every flicker of the lantern reminds him of Jack's voice, sharp and unrelenting. But there's something else under it now, a strange sense of purpose. He's not just working for approval anymore. He's working to prove to himself that he belongs. Then, without warning, the storm hits. The wind slams against the walls, rattling the tin roof. Lightning flashes, illuminating the paddock, and in that brief, blinding second, Cole sees it. The gate, wide open, panic surges. The horses are already spooked, their silhouettes darting through the sheets of rain. Cole doesn't think twice. He grabs his jacket, throws open the barn door, and sprints into the storm. Mud splashes up his jeans, wind whips at his face, and the cold cuts through every layer. But he keeps going. Jack hears the commotion and bursts out after him, shouting over the roar of the rain. "Cole, leave it! It's too dangerous." But Cole doesn't stop. He reaches for the lead rope, trying to guide the terrified mare back to safety. The ground gives way under his boots, and for a moment, he disappears into the blur of wind and thunder. Jack's heart stops cold. Without a second thought, he charges into the pasture. fighting the elements, fighting time. The storm becomes a test not of strength, but of trust. Jack finds Cole struggling to calm the horse, his hands steady even as rain blinds him. "Easy, girl, easy," Cole whispers, his voice calm, grounded. The same mare that reared from him days ago now starts to settle under his touch. Jack steps closer, helping secure the rope, their movements perfectly in sync, old and new, side by side. The horse finally stills, breathing hard but safe. For a long moment, neither man speaks. The storm rages around them, but between them, there's a fragile peace. Back in the barn, dripping and exhausted, Jack looks at Cole not as a burden, not as a rookie, but as a man who stood his ground when it mattered. He doesn't offer a long speech. He just says, "You did good tonight." Cole nods, his face a mix of shock and pride. "Thank you, sir." Jack leans against a post, watching the rain pour outside. "Ty made mistakes too," he says quietly, the words coming out slower, heavier. "Difference is, he learned from them. Looks like you might do the same." Cole doesn't reply, but his eyes say everything. In that silence, a bridge is built, one forged not by words, but by weather, fear, and grit. As thunder rolls away into the distance, the two men stand together in the dim light, the air thick with the scent of rain and redemption. For the first time, Jack doesn't see the new ranch hand as a reminder of what he's lost. He sees him as proof of what still endures: courage, loyalty, and the spirit that keeps Heartland alive. And in that quiet moment, beneath the dripping eaves, Jack Bartlett finally lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Morning arrives slowly, as if even the sun is catching its breath after the night storm. The land looks washed clean, fences glistening with dew, puddles scattered like mirrors, and the air filled with the soft, earthy scent of rain-soaked soil. Heartland has survived another test, but something deeper has changed. Not just in the land, but in the people who tend it. Jack Bartlett steps out of the house, the wooden porch creaking under his boots. The world feels quieter, gentler. He watches as Cole walks the fence line, checking for damage, his movements steady and deliberate. There's no rush this time, no panic, just purpose. The young man who arrived full of nerves and mistakes now moves like someone who belongs here, someone who's learned the rhythm of the ranch. Jack takes a deep breath and heads down to join him. Cole looks up, a little surprised but not uneasy. For once, Jack doesn't say anything right away. They walk side by side, inspecting the fence, both men comfortable in the silence. It's the kind of silence that doesn't need filling, the kind built from mutual respect. Finally, Jack stops and says, "That was good work last night." Cole hesitates, unsure if he heard right. "Thank you," he says quietly. "Couldn't have done it without you." Jack shakes his head. "You didn't need me. You just needed to trust yourself." There's a pause. The words hang in the cool air, heavier than they sound. Jack glances toward the horizon, where the sky is a soft mix of pink and gold. "Ty was like that too," he adds, always second-guessing himself until the moment it mattered. Then he just knew what to do. Cole nods, eyes lowered out of respect. "I've heard stories about him," he says softly. "Seems like he left some big boots to fill." Jack's voice turns warm but distant. "He did, but you're not here to fill his boots, son. You're here to find your own." For the first time, Cole smiles, a real one. Not the nervous grin from his first day, but the kind that comes from being seen, not just judged. They walk back toward the barn, the sun climbing higher behind them. Horses graze peacefully in the pasture, steam rising off their backs. The storm has left the world shining, alive again. Jack pauses by the gate, resting his hand on the wood. "You know," he says, his voice quieter now, "Heartland has a way of teaching you things you didn't know you needed to learn. It doesn't care how old you are or how much you think you know. It humbles you, makes you start over sometimes." Cole looks at him, understanding more than the words. "Guess it's doing the same for you, huh?" Jack lets out a low chuckle, the kind that's half amusement, half truth. "Maybe it is." As they head toward the barn, Amy watches them from the porch. There's something different in Jack's walk, lighter, freer, almost peaceful. For the first time in a long while, the old rancher doesn't look like a man guarding his past. He looks like someone willing to share it. The camera lingers on the ranch as the wind picks up again, not wild this time, but soft and full of promise. The voiceover fades in, calm and reflective. At Heartland, every storm leaves something behind. Sometimes it's broken fences, sometimes it's new beginnings. And for Jack Bartlett, it's the reminder that letting go isn't losing, it's making room for what's next. The screen fades to the sound of horses in the distance, and the sun rising over Heartland, a quiet symbol that even after the hardest storms, the heart always finds a way to heal.